You can unconditionally love your car and hate to try to fix it. And so because you don't enjoy fixing cars, you find a mechanic who does love to fix cars. You see, if you were unconditionally loving and you found that there really was no relationship occurring, then nothing satisfying or fulfilling is happening, and so you stop doing what isn't fulfilling or satisfying, but you do it because that's what feels good. You don't do it with a reaction. You see, do you realize, all of you, God loves you, and His love could transform you back into your right mind instantly. But because love is love, it can't force you against your will to do anything. God cannot transform you, but you can allow yourself to be transformed, because you all, at some point, decided you wanted to think some original thoughts yourself and have some original perceptions yourself and about everything, and you chose to abandon God's perspective, and God loves you and says, okay, it's okay to do this. You'll have a rugged experience. It won't be real. You won't really be damaged or harmed. It's not going to be any fun, but go ahead and explore. You see, love allows, but God knows that you can't really harm yourself. So there's nothing He needs to do. And you need to come back to God using the same power of choice that you used to abandon God's perspective. So, if God can't make you wake up, whose love is absolutely unconditional, how do you think your practice of unconditional love can possibly change anyone who doesn't want to change? Now, if you make an investment in some man, a giving away of yourself, on the basis that if you love him truly enough, he'll change, you're on shaky ground. Because you're not being true to yourself. You're trying to be true to a principle or a situation. What I'm saying is, your unconditional love will let him be whoever he is. And if being with whoever he is isn't fulfilling, your unconditional love will not judge him for it. And you, because you haven't given your integrity away, will move in other directions. No suffering, no vulnerability, and no dynamic of judgment that could tear at the fabric of the individual you were with or your own. And so love simply doesn't do what isn't pleasant. And it gravitates toward that which it is pleasant. You feel as though you've been let down, that love didn't work, that you can't depend on love. Mike?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I do.
You do. You made an investment in practicing unconditional love. And you stayed in a situation you stayed in a relationship that wasn't a relationship on the hope that your practice of unconditional love would cause a real relationship to happen. That's not unconditional love. Unconditional love will let him be who he thinks he is, and it will let him believe what he thinks he believes, just as God lets you do the very same thing. And if being with that one is unfulfilling, you don't hang around. In the same way that if you're outside in a light blouse and it starts raining, you don't stay outside. You get in under cover. Not because there's something wrong, but because it's not a pleasant thing to be in the rain in light clothing and get drenched. You see what I'm saying?
That's how I ignored my integrity.
That's how what?
I ignored my integrity.
Exactly. Because you said in so many words, if I'm practicing unconditional love, then I should be able to stand out in the rain and get soaking wet, and it will be okay with me. Even though you just did your hair and it's going straight on you, and your mascara is beginning to run because it all got wet, and nothing about the situation is really working, but on a principle you're going to stay in that situation because being unconditionally loving should transform it. Now you have gotten out of the relationship. In other words, you left the non-relationship. But because you thought that if you had practiced unconditional love, it would have had a certain positive, supportive effect, and it didn't, you feel as though practicing unconditional love put you in an unsafe place. And you feel as though unconditional love abandoned you and didn't make you safe. Unconditional love won't make you safe. You're already safe. Just because you exist, you're already safe.
Can I ask you, did I get guidance?
Pardon?
Did I get guidance over the last few years, though, to stay in that relationship?
You did.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means that it was appropriate at the time that you were getting the guidance. But I'm addressing here the issue that in the process, you were using the idea of unconditional love as a tool for changing him, and also as a tool for creating security for you. And that's not what it's for. And now that having done that, and having left a relationship that never became a full-blooded relationship, you feel as though you have been left high and dry with no security. And I'm saying you had your security all along, you haven't lost it, but your attempt to use unconditional love as a tool has caused you to feel that the practice of unconditional love doesn't work.
Well, yeah, I don't think it works.
Yes, and it actually
It's not
doesn't
supposed
work.
to work. Yeah.
So you are really in a very clear place now in that respect. Now you can express unconditional love without the mistaken idea that it will accomplish something for you. And now you will have the chance of experiencing fulfillment.
So are you saying I got the guidance so I would have an experience of
When you
that would
received the guidance, the opportunity for transformation to occur was still present. Your partner had not blocked himself off completely yet.
So why? So did I have something to do with that? What we're talking about have something to do with that?
I'm sorry.
Blocking off, or the way that it then. You know what I'm saying?
No, you weren't responsible at all for his choice.
Okay.
You are welcome. Practicing unconditional love is something you do because it's your nature. And when you are in harmony with your nature, there is a substance and a wholeness to everything you are being. And the experience is fulfilling. And you do become a transformational presence. But not because you're trying to be transformational. Love is not a tool for accomplishing anything. Love is the means by which you stop acting in a way that is at odds with what you divinely are. Love is the means by which you be in harmony with who and what you are. Love is the way you stop being at odds with God. Love is the way your integrity emerges intact. Love is always about you being what you are fully. Love gets extended spontaneously when you are being it. It is not something you can extend. You cannot point your finger and zap someone with your love. You cannot direct your love and have it reach a destination. When you let love fill you, and you are unconflicted, your very presence radiates that love. Because in the absence of inner conflict, the love that you are isn't dulled. Its radiation isn't limited. And everything is blessed. But do not make the mistake of thinking, oh, I have or can have love which can bless him or her or that situation, and so therefore I am going to bless them by loving them. Love extends from that which is love, meaning you, universally, instantaneously, the moment you are letting the love which God is expressing of Himself right where you are, the moment you let that love be in you unconditionally, the universal radiance of it happens and everything is blessed. But that's not your concern. Why do I say have an object of your affection? I say it not so that everyone can be blessed. I say it so that you might have a reason for letting love emerge from within you. So that you might have a reason to not be consumed with hate or frustration or impatience or other distractions. So that the wholeness of you might become illuminated. That can't happen if you don't have an object of your affection. But you don't have an object of your affection so that your affection can change that object of your affection. You see? Love is not about control, not even controlling somebody into his good. Well, gee, then love. That means that love renders me powerless. And that feels uncomfortable. Well, I'll tell you, it doesn't feel uncomfortable for everyone you want to have power over. Suddenly they feel safe. And you know what? The minute they feel safe, they'll open up to you. Wonder of wonders. And all of a sudden you're having good communication. So, you all get the picture. Okay, thank you for your question.
I'm sorry to take up time, but I feel confused
Okay.
by what you said, and I don't like feeling confused about.
Let's deal with it.
You said I wasn't in my integrity by pretending there was a relationship when there wasn't, and then you confirm, or is that right? What you meant? And
That
then,
is correct.
And then you confirmed that I.
No, I said that you were not in your integrity when you were trying to use unconditional love to achieve a goal, to help him.
But you gave this example of being out in the rain and that it wasn't fulfilling, and I took that as an analogy to being in this particular relationship.
Yes, if you stand out in the rain, standing on a principle that you ought to be able to do that and be happy and comfortable, then you are out of your integrity. Because it isn't pleasant or comfortable unless you happen to be in Hawaii and it's deliciously warm rain while the warm trade winds are caressing you, and then it can be a totally enjoyable experience. And standing in it is something that you can do and not lose your integrity, and yet because it's already pleasant, you don't have to say, if I'm doing this from the right place, it will be pleasant.
So what's confusing to me is that you confirmed that I've had guidance to stay in that situation, numbers of times. So it's a question now about guidance. Why is guidance saying to do that when it seems like you're saying I'm ignoring something obvious?
As I said, When you were receiving guidance to stay in the relationship, it was because there was potential for two-way communion occurring. He had not yet closed himself off completely.
When you said, why stand out in the rain, why, yeah, why? I mean, then why not just leave that situation back then in time? So confusing.
At that point, there were aspects of relationship that were occurring. They were not full, but there was communion between the two of you to some degree, and the opportunity for that to grow was present. And you weren't out of your integrity to be there, except to whatever degree you were thinking that the conscious practice of unconditional love would make something happen.
Okay, thank you. I'll reflect on what you said today.
Okay. Hands. In the blue shirt here. Oh.
Right back behind the chair. Hi, Raj. I want to first just say, should I stand or sit?
It's fine for you to say.
I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
First. I had a question that just came up when I watched Paul take off the glasses, and you look around and see everybody, and then when Paul gets up to go out of the room, he puts the glasses on. This isn't my question, but I'm just curious as to, does Paul need the glasses or not?
Paul isn't seeing any better right now than he does at any other time when his glasses are off. He has a habit of removing metal from him, except for his rings when we speak. It's that simple. I do not know why he thinks it makes a difference, but he has done that since the beginning.
Okay. I actually have a few things that are unclear to me, and one relates to the nature of what I do for a living, and the other relates to a physical thing that's been, I don't know if chronic is the right word, but ongoing thing. And I think that would probably, is there one that might be appropriate, or is there opportunity to address both of those?
We will address both.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll start with the physical thing. It's a more personal thing, but I have a back thing that recurs, and recently, just last week, I was feeling as though I was really moving in a direction, in a healing direction, returning more to a wholeness. And when I ask for guidance about this with my back, usually the information I get is there's really nothing wrong with my back. And on some level I understand that, and on another level, when I do something that aggravates it and I can't move, it's hard to believe there's nothing wrong with my back.
Well, when you aggravate something, it's not going to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. If you bend your finger back, mm-hmm, it's going to hurt, but not because there's something wrong with your finger. It has to do with the use to which you're putting your finger. Okay. And this has to do with the misuse of your back, not that there is something wrong with your back. And when you misuse your body, it's going to say, stop. You're going to get feedback. And why? You're going to get feedback because there is integrity there. And when you violate the integrity, you will get feedback that says, stop, Stop doing what you don't like. Stop doing what doesn't work. Why? So that in effect you can say, stay on the straight and narrow and be happy.
I guess I fall in this, maybe it's a trap where in exploring edges, not necessarily limits like I may have done in the past, so I don't, it's primarily concerned with how I approach my practice of yoga, physical yoga. And when my back isn't bothering me, maybe it's almost like a diver who goes really deep and they get to a certain point and they think, well, wouldn't it be cool to go just a little deeper? And I feel that sometimes in my practice where I'll be doing a twist like I was the other day and I've never really gotten that deep. And it feels really exhilarating because my body's doing something and it doesn't hurt like it usually does. And so I might stay in a little bit too long or try just a little bit more and then that's it. So I guess my question, I understand your answer. Maybe it would be clear, is there something maybe with my hips being tight or...
Your what?
The hips being tight or the pelvis not being sort of frozen or immobile. I mean, is there a physical thing which... No. Okay.
Very simply, it is that leading edges are leading edges of unknown quantity, and if you bring apprehension with you into that place, you will bring a simultaneous act of self-protection, which is at odds with the letting go, and it's not comfortable. So the key is not to push further than that point where you are comfortable. If someone is starting out to do simple exercises and part of their regime is to try to touch their toes, when they first start they may only get 9 or 10 inches away from their toes. But if they do it repetitively each day with just a little bit of stretch to it, they will find that they will be able to eventually get down to where they can touch the toes and the floor and so on. So they stretch without truly going beyond their comfort zone. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Don't ever jump over the edge aggressively. That's the key. Because any aggression you bring to moving beyond a current limit is always going to be accompanied by defense, self-protection. And that's the fine point that you are learning here. And it doesn't have anything to do with your back or your body. Okay.
Thank you. And a related thing, it's a quandary that I find in my profession as teaching yoga. And it took me a bit of courage to start to teach yoga because all of my teachers have always been able to do amazing things with their body, amazing feats. And I didn't include myself in that category. So I would ask for guidance about teaching, and I would get, it's an appropriate thing to do. And I would say, well, what am I supposed to teach? What poses or what asanas? And the answer was, it's not important what the poses are. It's what happens in there. And
did you believe it?
Part of me believed it.